Welcome everyone to another session of Your Desk University. We've been exploring how architects are seeing their jobs differently. Architects, engineers are reaching to the web. They're learning how to do web development. They're learning how to put their data in the web. And this entire series is based around that. We've had quite a few really good sessions, and I am looking forward to today. Today, Tina from Slantis is going to be exploring the intersection of art and architecture. And don't worry, we're going to be exploring JavaScript, but she's going to walk us through each piece and how to do art using an application called P5.js in the web. And I believe there's going to be a live demo or at least a shared link that you can go explore yourself. So stay tuned for that. And with that, I definitely want to make sure and give huge kudos to the team that helps pull Your Desk off each year, specifically John, who's in the background every single time, making sure that everything works. And I'm grateful for that. And with that, I invite Tina onto the camera here. Hi, welcome.
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Timon.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I love that right before we started, I was asking Tina about what she wants people to get out of this. And one of the most important things she said is, I really just want it to be understandable. I want it to be something that people can grasp, can take on. And I know enough to know we're going to be looking at data, going in and creating art. And you were telling me something about your background is also kind of generative.
Yeah, so the background you're seeing here, this wallpaper, it's made with AI. It's an AI like similar to Midjourney or an AI prompt text to image that the team created at Slantis and made into a wallpaper. So Gen Art
Nice.
on the office as well.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Well, like promised, every week I'm asking our speakers for a 30-second tip before we get started. And Tina, what do you have for us today?
So I think, and I will go further on my presentation on this one, but I think a main tip I give to everyone is be curious, ask around, look around, listen. If you're listening enough and seeing the world, it gives you a new perspective each time, and you can input that into your daily life and make new experiences. So that's how I got from architect to coding. So we'll see. You kind of see my journey on this pitch, but
Nice. Yeah, let's take a look. Let me pull up your screen share here.
oh, let's see.
Oh,
Are we good?
there you go. Yep.
So hi, everyone. So excited to be here. From those of us who still don't know me, I'm Tina. I will be talking how I got from architecture to creative coding and how to code your very own swag. For some of you, maybe you know my name from the chat. I was one of the eager viewers from the last editions of Your Desk from the very beginning. So super excited to be on this side of the screen today.
Yeah, you've been one of the most active participants, so it's fun to have you on. A second time. Yeah, or first time, sorry.
Yeah, first time on this side. On the chat, I've been quite present, and you might have seen my questions go around. So maybe my name, you recall it from there.
Yeah.
Or Twitter. We're both very Twitter persons with Timon. So I was saying curiosity is a big deal for me. How I got from architect to coding? Well, besides being an architect or BIM person and a techie, I'm a big curious person. So before I get bored, I try to learn something new from everything I do. And that's kind of my path. Going into architecture school, I thought these images from the left were like more what I would do. And then I learned there was more about computational design, which amazed me. Okay, this is a really tech career. Cool. And then by the end of my career, kind of my career path, where you were either a kind of designer and work with documentation, or you were a constructor architect and work on site. And none of those really filled my cup. But I was really lucky to get into Slantis, where I got to work in Revit And from there, I quickly popped into Dynamo, and which took me further into my first Python inside Dynamo. And there's where my whole coding experience started. So it quickly changed from being either a constructor or a designer to being a tech architect or archi-nerd, as I like to call it. So if you like tech and architecture, you can develop new stuff. I'm curious, and that's how I was wandering around coding. And I thought, okay, coding has a lot of the same skill sets as architecture for me. They are kind of similar in some ways. They both need problem solving. They are both based on building blocks. Shout out to Hyper, Andrew Human, who was calling building blocks of Hyper last sessions. So building blocks are like those smaller parts that put together groups work together to fix your problems you're solving. They both require strong math and logical skills and a creative nature beyond all to get that actual problem solving mindset with all these skills. So that's how a bit of how I got into creative coding or computational art. There are a lot of terms out there. You have gen art, computational art. You might have tried Discord or AI. There's a lot of Discord Midjourney. A lot of tools out there you can try. One of those kind of tools is creative coding, and this is my journey on how I use that on creating cool swag. You can have a sneak here of what we'll be showing today. This cool iteration is when creative coding met Slantes. We wanted to do something cool for you. Wanted to take some swag. So stickers, we didn't just want to take a sticker that was calling Slantes. We wanted to take something that really represented us. So kind of, I'll show you how kind of that process went. The idea is we started with the end of it. What's the desired outcome? We wanted a sticker that represented us. Okay, what does that mean? For us, that meant tech-oriented, innovative, fun, colorful. It needed to represent the team of people that are amazing and unique behind it. And tech-wise, that meant, okay, let's find a technology that can generate images so we can create a sticker we can print. And that was P5.js. So we'll get into that in a minute, which is processing. How we made it happen. We defined a roadmap. We gathered a team mix of creative and tech people within the office. So we are mostly architects in the office at Slantes. And we all have different hobbies and likes beyond architecture. So kudos to the Create Tech team. They might be on the chat today.
There's quite a few people in the chat today, I have to say. They're all saying hi. So.
Hi there. I'm not seeing the chat people. I love you if you're here for me. Thank you so much.
But I am, and I'll be relaying all your messages, and I'm really glad to see you guys. And so you'll see the chat right after.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. So we collected information from our Slack channel so we can have interactions that represented that team we were talking about. And then we got all hands on deck. Let's define roles, milestones. Let's go. Tech-wise, on the other page was like, okay, we didn't know we know what processing was about, but none of us were really into it. So we needed to like a starting point. So we got a script we liked that starting point. I'll go ahead on time and let me know if you see the screen right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the code where we started, which is a code where you drag your mouse. It was doing this kind of shapes. This was cool. This creates an image based on a line that's based on your mouse. What can we do with it, right? You'll see in a minute. So this was a cool code, and that allowed us to input numbers. There were our Slack interactions data to create shapes. And then final step of it is the output. But for us, output is kind of product plus lessons learned. So it was a loop of creating a product, producing it, learn from that, repeat. So there's a couple of iterations from lessons learned on the way. This process that came really naturally to us, so guys, this was 2-week process from the very first idea of doing something like this to printing it and getting it to AU. So the same process that we applied as a team to collaborate on this, it was very similar to how we developed the code itself. So what's processing before we get into it? Processing, in this case specifically P5.js, it's a free and open source JavaScript library for creative coding. That means it's accessible for everyone if you want to jump into its web-based, so it's really accessible to anyone. And it's pretty easy to understand if you have some kind of background in coding. If you're just getting started, it's not that hard to get into either. And I'm linking here. I'll send the links maybe afterwards. I'm sorry, Tim, I didn't have this one, which is, maybe we can open it. This is a generative book of design. There's a lot of information and scripts here, and a lot you can start with and see how you're working. So it's a pretty cool place to start to understand how this is working. And there's a lot of different stuff if I scroll down.
So I just feel like I'm getting so much appreciation from the chat, though I need to pause and just let you know, everyone that's here, that's watching this live, and this part, and by the way, also the chat, we're gonna cut that off once it gets recorded. So enjoy, keep chatting. But I just want to let you know, everyone here, you've got people cheering for you. You've got Paula Barrios, Paula Ramara De Vita. Oh no, Mercedes is on. Jared Freeman, another one of our speakers next week. Josephina, Gabriella, Veronica, Design Tech Unraveled is enjoying the show, as is the Bimsider, Martin Cyrus, Virginia, and Labatho. So I'm really enjoying this. I want you to know sometimes these feel one-sided. And the nice thing is we can have this little live engagement, and then I can cut it out for the recorded one once YouTube processes it. But yeah, hold on before we go. Go Creative Tech Team from Mercedes. Thank you, of course. And Peter Brummel. So keep saying hi. I don't know that I'll keep interrupting, but I just want you to know that there is a live crowd that's enjoying and excited to watch this. And I wanted you to be able to enjoy that as you're presenting.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Hope this is fun for everyone and understandable enough so you get your creative juices flowing. I want to see P5.js from everyone on Twitter tomorrow.
Yeah, lots of different art. I'm curious what different kind of art people could create with their data once they try what you put together.
Yeah. So I'll get into that in a minute, but you actually could input your own data into our script, so it does new shapes for you. So you can try it tomorrow.
Or tonight.
Tonight, yeah, I don't know which part in the world you're in. Depend on your time zone. Maybe you get a few hours left on your pipeline today. So what is processing? We talk about being a web-based application. It's mainly, it requires three type of files: the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript. We'll go into the fun stuff, the JavaScript sketch. So this is what it looks like. I've recorded a bit of it, so we don't disturb anything on this recording. We're going live right now on this. You're seeing the code running. On the left bottom side, you see color change to yellow, color change to purple, magenta. So that are actually user inputs. You could use your keyboard to change the colors as it goes through. So each edition of this is unique. And you have a QR there where you can access this, and I think we'll input it into the chat.
Yep,
if we can.
In the chat.
Cool. So everyone can get into it and try it, give it a spin. So we talk about starting with the what for the process of the team. What is the what on the code? Well, the what for us was setting inputs. What are you fitting this code to get your desired outcome? We talked about we wanted to feed it with data from Slack. So I'll show you how I did that. You can see this is the first part of the code. I just copied the same that is on the web-based link you're getting. So you can go through it as I go here. So you see a docs, which is a spreadsheet or a sheets from the Google Docs. made into a CSV output. And that is coming from Slack. How do you get it from Slack? So if you actually go to your Slack account, the settings, tools, analytics, it gives you a lot of information and interactions, reactions, quantity of team members. So what we took there was the quantity of member reactions and comments each month. I think since we were doing for AU 2022, we took information from I think it was all the months from 2022 coming into the last day to like the last month before AU. And then the quantity of team members as we growed, we wanted to represent each of us. So we also had that under number for a second information I'll show you in a minute we use for. From that, we got it. That gives you can export information from Slack to Excel or Google Sheets. And then on Google Sheets, it's really cool that you can go to share, publish to web, and then you select comma separated values, which is CSV, publish, and it gives you a link. And that link is what we input into our code.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. That's nice. It's a nice way to get the data.
She found this out. I don't know if she remembers, but she found this out for me.
Nice.
So how did it work? How does the code work? We set functions. For those who are not as into coding as others here, functions are kind of those building blocks, are like parts that define how we want things to be working together. So boilerplate sketch, the minimal sketch JS you need to get this started is you need a function called setup and a function called draw. The setup function, it's what sets your first canvas, like the size, the colors, and the draw is what will iterate and actually call for everything you want the drawing to be doing. So once again, setup starts at the very beginning. It's run once at the beginning of the code, and it creates the canvas, sets the frame rate or initial styles like the background color, if there's any shapes going into it, what's the stroke weight, what's the fill. And here, for example, we set not only the canvas size to, we set it to variables so we could easily update them. And we set the colors, our Stellantis brand colors, to be easily inputted to other parts of the code here in the setup. We had already, I had already shown you how we import data into the code. This is how you make that data get actually translated to code. So this function preload is what translates the data from the sheets to data it can use. So that load table is what it's importing into the code. And then we wanted to set colors at the very beginning of the code. If you try it, each time it starts, it's starting with a new of our colors. We didn't want it to be always the same. We wanted unique editions of this. So it has this pen color, which randomizes the starting color each time. So each time the code is run, it started with one of our colors. And you could also
I love that you named your colors slant orange, slant purple, slant blue, and slant pink.
Yeah. Marketing team likes me for this stuff, so I play nice to them.
Are you the marketing team today?
No, not the marketing team. I have a 3 people marketing, amazing marketing team on in-house. So.
Oh, wonderful.
Some of them I heard they're on the chat, so I'm playing.
Nice.
Okay, we've already imported that. You remember that data was the transcription, the translation from the sheets into our code, and those numbers that we were seeing, there were the reactions, and the reactions are the emojis on Slack for people that don't use Slack. And the interactions, which is how many people sent messages, were numbers we had for each month. Oops. So that were our coordinates X and Y to set points. And the member counts for each month was a random number that then gave you see it at the shape, it's kind of a pendulum. It gave kind of how many breaks on that pendulum we were using, like the joints for that. It's a math thing beyond that, but that's how the Slack data got into it. So we got colors, we got information on the team. And so this, going back, sorry, a step, this function you see is a draw curve. So this is how I'm calling the things I want to include into this code. And then my last of it is the first one of the boilerplate function I mentioned is the draw function, which is the function that calls everything to be running. And this one is iterating in a definite loop. So be careful of what you set to run. I had some fun for almost exploding my computer for this draw loop. I couldn't cancel at a point. But yeah, be mindful that it's fun. You can cancel it at some point. So this one it's calling for the function set color, which randomize our colors, draw curve, which sets the path where we're running, and draw curve set to true, which was one of the previous actions at the very beginning, but it's now means it's running for each point it's finding. So the output I already showed you a sneak peek, but here you can see there were 2 editions of it, and I don't know if I've been seen in camera, but I have some of this here. We had 2 editions. The first, the sticker 1.0 is the one that got to AU 2022. We liked it, but we had some lessons learned, so we could learn from that and do something better, which is the sticker 2.0, which is amazing if you ask me. I love it.
I see it includes a QR code too.
And yeah, and the color version of it is square one. The actual sticker is the middle part you see there that's cut off, but we included a code that takes you to GitHub to see how we made it. So we're including the back-end information of how this was done. So you can not only see a cool sticker, but okay, I can learn something from this.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Like people who are creating things, but also willing to share and want other people to understand it. I think that's pretty important. And yeah, I have a sticker 1.0, as do quite a few people in the chat.
Yeah. Actually, here's a photo of us. This is the day we met AU, and you can see my sticker on my badge.
Nice.
Memories.
Yeah, that was great.
So the lessons learned here on this process was we wanted to, at the beginning of this, the first idea we had is we want each person to have their own very unique edition of the sticker. Great idea. We could do it code-wise. We couldn't do it time-wise because that would mean export as many images as we wanted to produce. And we find out that printing unique pieces of stickers is not that easy. People like mass production for some reason. So sometimes it's really good to understand also the logistics behind what you are creating. And then the other lesson learned was that's really important. The first version, it's really small. If are you showing my camera? I'm not seeing the YouTube session.
Yeah.
So if you see here on my hand, it's really small.
Hold on, I'll pull you up full. Oops, that's me. There we go. Full camera.
If you see this one, it's really small. If you see this other one, it's kind of bigger.
Oh.
Because this one, it was actually a JPEG at the beginning, so we couldn't really stretch it too much. Lesson learned, we needed it to be vectorial, so we could print it at any size. And since it's vectorial, it can only print at any size, but you can use it for multiple things, such as Avail covers. We use Avails in-house for our content, and some of the covers are using this as fun covering. And we produce freebies. Kudos to marketing team again. You can have like one version of Edge for each type of device you might have. Device, you can phone device, desktop, iPad, you name it. They did it all. Apple Watch. You have an Apple Watch, you can have a Slantis wallpaper for that. You can see actually the phone from a friend here using it, and she did her own version coloring, which I found amazing that people can take, learn, and do their own rendition of it.
That's pretty cool. So you have them as stickers for the back of phones, or as like the media for like a front back that looks like a background on the phone.
Yeah, it's a background. Yeah, you can download this on the GitHub. I'll show you. I'm showing the QR here. I know I gave this for the chat. I can show you.
And I want to kind of like restate some of the stuff that you were talking about, because we were exploring this earlier. Maybe you're going to show this in the live, but she was basically like the XY coordinates of the art is coming from the Slack data. So, that's where they found their data that they found was interesting artistically. But we can all think about other places where we can find either XY coordinates or other things. But then I think, as you were saying, like as you enter, it changes colors, and you do that dynamically. So there's like a preset part, and then there's like experiential kind of artistic coloring that happens at the same time.
Definitely. Yeah. So here is I'm opening it live. So the GitHub code first takes you to this the Slantis GitHub. You have kind of the story I've told you, the code, whose code we're based on, who we learned from to input to output SVG. There's a really big community for P5.js. I found there are a lot of people on Twitter, and there's an awesome Discord channel where people share a lot of information. I've been learning a lot from there, and yeah, good resources there. Kind of business information. You can either give it a spin full screen. Here, it should start anytime, and I input numbers 1 to 6, and I change colors. Or if you go downwards, you can open the editor and kind of play around with the code. Oh, sorry. Oh. Oops, lost the GitHub. Here we go. You can play around with the code if you want, and you see here, find the freebies. You have a lot of freebies. Yeah, and also we're really open to feedback. If anyone is trying anything else, I'll be more than glad to hear requests. So one of my things I'm trying to get at the end of this is also, so this was a project we created for you, but it's kind of a fun project. So from time to time, I go back to it. And one of the things I want now is to output not only SVGs, but get to output GIFs, so I can make cool kind of moving backgrounds for stuff without screen recording.
I mean, I think I appreciate, first of all, I appreciate you so much coming on and talking about this with us. And I'm looking at you, chat, for some questions if you have any that you want to hit us up with. I think Tina's coming up close to the end of her kind of prepared parts. We might do some live demo here. But so if you have any questions, but I think like I appreciate seeing how you've kind of like learned this, but also you were an architect and coding was not your area of expertise. I'm not saying architects or coders are better or worse than the other. Sometimes people go one way, sometimes people go the other. But I think like you learned some JavaScript in doing this. You looked at data extraction. You were talking about the Google Sheets. I didn't realize that you could have that like public share of a Google Sheet that you could get the data from. That's really handy when you just want data to be accessible like that. But then I think the things you haven't mentioned yet is you obviously learned how to work with Git, and you learned how to post to Git. And that's a step that a lot of computational designers don't make. And I know I do almost all my work in Git because of version control, because of being able to pair with other people. But that's something that, and we've talked about doing another session at some point on Git. But I appreciate you even showing like that aspect about it.
Yeah. Once again, I'm curious. I see something cool. How did they make this? Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned Git just because I saw people from the AC Tech sharing through there, and it's like, okay, how does it work? And I tried to gather information on how things work and write it down, so it's an easier path for my team to work with. We're developing like a how-to Git notion on our end. Um, and yeah, for everyone who feels okay, this is too hard. I'm an architect. I don't have any formal education on coding besides self-taught internet tutorials stuff. And when I went, the fun story behind this that I haven't told you yet is we decided on processing because we kind of knew about processing, but none of us had really worked on JavaScript before. I had worked on Iron Python and some Python, but I have never learned Java before. And I just dive into this code, tweaked it until it did something I liked. And after the code was done, the sticker was print. After we came back from AU, I sat down and say, hey, what if I watched a video or a class on coding on JavaScript so I kind of understand of what I did there. And it's helpful too. Like there's no right way to learn. This is a creative process too. It's not like a professional thing I'm doing here. So I let myself learn on different techniques. So I go through Discord and ask questions, look around. I look around on Twitter, kind of look for stuff. YouTube is a great tool.
Yeah.
These kind of webinars are superb that you're sharing so many aspects of technology and architecture and our kind of world. And this kind of I'm an eager viewer of Your Desk University. You know that it gave me a lot of tools, seeing different perspective on what different people were doing. Like I remember being a big fan of Dana from Dynamo and seeing their sessions with Exam for Pyrevit and kind of, Pyrevit's on GitHub. What's GitHub? And kind of, if all goes around, we kind of learn from everyone. If you are curious enough to be looking around and asking questions, you can really easily learn.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great story. We want to see you viewers come and be speakers to learn, to become curious. The whole reason Your Desk University exists is because there's a need for those advanced computational design sessions to help us understand things beyond basic Dynamo. I'm actually curious on why you didn't go a Dynamo route with this.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I don't know. Yeah. This popped in like, okay, let's do a seeker. We need to do something fun, something different. What? And I think Mercedes brought processing to the table. She had a friend who has had this book. He came one night, helped us out, showed me a bit of like the boilerplate on how it worked, give me a few tips, and there I went. I sat on a coffee table on a Saturday, spent 4 hours, and that is how it went.
Yeah. How did you guys line up on that example? And maybe I know earlier you were showing me, and I think you were showing the audience too, but maybe we could pull up that example P5 website where there was just so many different examples of P5 things. And once you've got it pulled up, I can share it on the screen here. But I'm curious, and also kind of answering one of these questions in the chat is what drew you towards that particular one? There's an aspect of chaos that kind of is in that art. Did you find that appealing? Did you like more symmetrical things? Like what drew you towards that from an artistic perspective?
Yeah, let me open the book for a second.
And while she's pulling this up, if you've gotten any value out of the session, help Tina out. Get this out into the YouTube world by feeding the YouTube algorithm. And it likes that like button down there.
I have it.
All right,
I
let
can
me pull
share.
that up. There you go.
So once again, this is a generative design by Helston book. It shows you, it's an actual book, printed version of it. But Mercedes' friend had it, and he was kind enough to share it with us, which shows you kind of a bit of each code and a bit of an explanation how it goes. So it has some categories to how it works. So different codes are arranged. This first one are based on color. Like all of these are nice, and they're doing all different stuff. We kind of went through all of them, each like on the creative team. Nico, Madi, Mercedes, and I went through all of this and kind of voted our favorites. I think it was really clear from us that since we had numbers as inputs, we need to do something with numbers. So we needed something that was shape-based, so those numbers could be inputted into something. That's maybe we thought before, since we started with a what as an input, we then went for shapes. There are a lot of great ones. I think we wanted to go through a couple of them. We didn't have enough time to go through many. And I think we went with this one, P22603, but I think we saw this one, the 042. There's a couple of them, like, these all are pretty amazing. And then if you scroll down, there's also other really cool ones, which are with text. I really like this one that kind of, I can open it. This one goes from a text prompt to in this stuff like kind of the shape, and I think each enter it turns and stuff like that. It's for me it's really cool to kind of understand. See, it's text input. Where am I texting here? Hi, YouTube. What is that? You see here how YouTube, and then it goes with our text, but
And so the coordinates kind of adjust kind of algorithmically from the text that's input. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, this one is text used as a blueprint visual composition. Like each of these are thought in a really unique way, and I think they're pretty cool, all of them. You can really go study, and also like they're sharing this. This is, for me, this is crazy that people are kind enough to share all of this. These ones are work through image. They kind of create different techniques for different images. These are more random and based on noise.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really interesting way of exploring, and I will encourage you, take this further, explore a little bit. Looks like it's I'm going to actually post this in the chat. Generative tooling. I got it. I found it. I'm sure everyone else can do that too, but I'm going to help you out here and put that in the chat. So that's there. Again, the chat will go away once YouTube kind of processes this, and we'll have to add it down to the comments below. But I think this has been great. And I think with that, I think we're going to close. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Tina, for the time and effort that you put into preparing a session like this. Your Desk is here to serve you, our viewers, our computational design viewers. And we want to serve you in the best ways possible. So this entire series is set up around web. Thank you for participating. Thank you for watching. Help us out by hitting the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to see things that come up live. We're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to have at least 2 surprise shows at 1 p.m. Eastern. So stay tuned and watch the website for that. And with that, thank you. We'll see you next week.